Republican Cruz beats Trump in Wyoming Republican caucus, while Rubio wins Washington, D.C.'s GOP presidential convention. Netanyahu calls for immediate measures from world powers after Iran missile test. And the Syrian government says it will send a delegation to fresh peace talks due to start in Geneva on Monday, but it will not discuss Assad's presidency. Good morning and welcome back to i24 News. I'm Tjong. Begin with news from the U.S. presidential campaign trail. Republican White House hopeful Ted Cruz trashed frontrunner Donald Trump in the caucus in Wyoming. With all votes counted, the Texas senator won 66.3% of the ballots in the western state, far ahead of his nearest rival, Florida Senator Marco Rubio, who earned 19.5% of the vote. In the Republican primary in Washington, D.C., it was Rubio who gathered a projected majority out of the 19 delegates at stake. Following the latest primaries, ABC News offers a wrap-up focusing on the latest Trump upheaval.
Donald Trump campaigned in Kansas City Saturday night.
Get him out of here.
Still dogged by hecklers determined to keep him from speaking.
We're going to take our country back from these people.
Earlier in Dayton, Ohio, the boldest effort yet.
I have to do it myself. I know it's not.
When a protester charged the stage, Trump's Secret Service detail sprang to his defense as agents overpowered the would-be assailant.
I don't know if I would have done well, but I would have been boom, boom, boom. I'll beat that.
It was a different story Friday night when Trump haters crashed a Trump rally bent on disruption.
Donald Trump is not welcome in Chicago.
Trump abruptly canceled the rally, citing public safety, but the violence spilled out into the street. Trump blamed Bernie Sanders supporters.
People, by the way, some represented Bernie, our communist friend.
Sanders called Trump
a candidate who has, in fact, in many ways encouraged violence.
Hillary Clinton agreed.
That is not leadership, it is political arson.
And Trump got no sympathy from fellow Republicans.
Donald Trump has created a toxic environment.
On Tuesday, the campaign trail winds through 5 states where voters will decide who gets hundreds of delegates at stake. For Senator Marco Rubio of Florida and Governor John Kasich of Ohio, Tuesday may be make or break. Both candidates are lagging badly and facing voters in their home states.
Well, Donald Trump, who did distinctly less well in Wyoming and Washington, D.C., said on Saturday the man who charged the stage at a rally in Ohio probably had ties to Islamic State.
All of a sudden, the people in the front row start screaming, "Be careful! Watch it! Watch it!" I'm speaking. I'm saying, what's this all about? I look back, and there's a guy charging the stage. And I mean charging. He put on a bull rush, charging the stage. And I have to tell you, folks, the Secret Service was unbelievable. But that's not the terrible part. The terrible part, I'm going to tell you, right? So they bring him into a court, and they process him, and the judge lets him go. Okay, all right. Now, let me tell you, if he would have gotten on stage, it would have been a problem, to be honest, because it would have been a problem, because he was looking to do harm. This wasn't a guy that was looking to, have a little fun. This was a guy that was looking to do harm. So the judge let him go. And then one of my people said, wow, they found his name. And it was probably ISIS or ISIS-related. Do you believe it?
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu ordered the foreign ministry on Saturday to ask world powers who negotiated a nuclear deal with Iran to take immediate punitive actions for, quote, ongoing and recurring violations by Iran's missile program. This comes after the United States asked the UN Security Council to discuss Iran's recent ballistic missile tests. U.S. Ambassador Samantha Power called the tests, quote, provocative and destabilizing, taking place less than 2 months after the Iran nuclear deal was implemented. A short while ago, we were joined by our diplomatic correspondent Tal Shalev regarding Jerusalem's chances of succeeding in their request for punitive measures against Iran.
Jerusalem declared, since the Iran deal was signed, Jerusalem declared that it adamantly opposes the deal and also declared it will monitor Iranian violations. And from Jerusalem's point of view, the ballistic missile test and the international reactions to it is a test to world powers' seriousness on enforcing that deal. So we have heard harsh reactions and statements led by France and the United States, but Israel wants actions. This is the third statement Israel releases in recent days regarding the recent ballistic missile tests conducted by Iran. The ambassador to the United Nations, Dani Danon, also sent a letter to the UN Security Council saying that the missile test was a violation of Resolution 2231, which endorses the Iran deal, and it is expected to be discussed next week. But some people in the Security Council are waiting for confirmation from the intelligence agencies on whether the missiles that Iran fired were indeed bearing nuclear warheads.
The Syrian government says it will send a delegation to fresh peace talks due to start in Geneva on Monday. But Foreign Minister Walid Mualem ruled out any debate of presidential elections. An opposition spokesman said the government's preconditions could halt the talks before they had even started. Shelby Weiner reports.
Deliberations begin as Geneva prepares for Monday's peace talks on Syria. The Syrian government has come out rejecting any possibility of negotiating presidential elections, stating that a time frame will be made by no one other than the Syrian people.
The parliamentary election is listed in the Vienna Communique and UN resolution, but for the presidential elections, our delegate will reject any attempt to put this item on the agenda.
The Syrian government's statement also included that any progress depends on the opposition's sincerity. However, forward-moving discussions seem unlikely as the High Negotiations Committee, a major group of Syria's rebel opposition, had already come out saying the removal of Assad's regime is a necessary first step.
We consider that the transitional period starts with the fall of Bashar al-Assad or his death. There's no possibility to start this period with the presence of this regime or the head of this regime in the power.
The HNC claims the government's aim is to stop the negotiations before they even begin. Meanwhile, other opposition leaders have yet to commit to attending the talks. Uncertainty clouds Geneva as it is still unclear who will arrive on Monday.
Over now to Yemen, where airstrikes reportedly killed at least 17 suspected al-Qaeda militants overnight in a restive district in the southern port city of Aden, witnesses, medics, and a security official said today. The airstrikes hit Al-Mansoura district, a stronghold for militants. The area has witnessed several attacks against local security officials since the Saudi-led coalition retook Aden last July from the Iran-allied Houthi militia. Well, Lebanon said today it would temporarily reopen a landfill to ease an 8-month trash crisis as thousands of people demonstrated in Beirut against the waste pileup. Garbage has piled up on beaches, in mountain forests and riverbeds across Lebanon since the closure in July of the country's largest landfill just south of Beirut. An official said that 2 other temporary landfills equipped to treat the waste would be opened in Beirut's suburbs.
People are present here today to direct their voices towards the Prime Minister's building. That way, maybe the politicians will listen. But whatever the result of the solution, we will not retreat from the streets.
U.S. and South Korean Marines are performing a mock amphibious landing in a joint military drill. North Korea, meanwhile, which recently fired a satellite into orbit, violating United Nations resolutions, has responded with threats for a preemptive nuclear strike. South Koreans today held a protest at the port of Busan, where South Korean and U.S. military are conducting the joint military exercises of Key Resolve and Double Dragon. At the military exercise site, some South Korean residents expressed their opposition to the exercise, chanting slogans and waving banners including "We want peace, no war," and "Stop military exercise."
The joint military exercise by South Korea and the United States can only make the peninsula fall into the mire of war. We hope the exercise will stop right now. The North Korean people and South Koreans are one nationality, and we should exclude external powers. We should see our nation's own interests. I think South Korea and North Korea can reconcile at any time, and we can live together. It is the unification that we need.
Pope Francis will visit the Auschwitz-Birkenau concentration camp as part of his visit to Poland in July, where he will chair the World Youth Day. 2 of the Pope's predecessors also visited the camp, John Paul II in 1979 and Benedict in 2006. Some 1.1 million people, the vast majority Jews from across Europe, were murdered by Nazi Germany at the camp from 1940 to 1945. Well, those were the latest reports. Join us again in 20 minutes for more, and of course online for any updates. Thanks for watching.